Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What's going on, Chip?
What's
Good
up,
to
Joe?
see you tonight. It's been at least 24 hours tonight. Ripple XRP, the crypto, get this, the crypto frenzy. Financial institutions are in damage control. You know what, though? Jamie Dimon still hates Bitcoin, and Tom Emmer takes Gensler to the mat, as well as some other things that we're going to get into. We're going to show some clips. Tom Emmer was interviewed twice by the same person, but what amazing content we can drive out of Tom Emmer, Congressman Tom Emmer, that is. So, Chip, if you're ready, I'm ready. So I think I'm ready to go. You want to kick it off?
Boom.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome to On the Chain, people. Welcome to everybody
Welcome
who's on the
to
chain.
On the Chain.
And thanks thanks to Hans Loaded, because we almost had a little mishap tonight. It was like, hey, no one's getting the notification. I haven't gotten the notification. Just like I didn't post it. Oh,
Whoa.
so it gets up there.
I swear I did it. It's the funniest thing. It must have just been in the back of my mind as I was prepping stuff. I'm like, yeah, I put the thumbnail up.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. I mean, I've done silly things like that before, and it's like, what? I could have sworn, like, I'll write an email, draft an email, whatever. I thought I sent it. That's weird. They haven't replied yet. You
dude,
forgot to
record
hit
time.
send.
Record time, though, Chip.
Yeah, record time. That was like impossible, but thanks to Hans Loaded, we have a show tonight. That's awesome, man.
So, yeah, thank you very much, Hands Loaded. And also a big shout out to Hands Loaded for putting together the time sequence on the video. So that helps out a lot as well. Chip, I know that what a Bitcoin max you are, so you might not appreciate all the stuff going on with Ripple XRP.
I don't know what's going on with the Jeff telling me being a Bitcoin maxi and my disdain for anything not Bitcoin, of course.
I know how you like the slow transaction.
I love it.
Expensive transaction.
I can
you have a very good store of value, though.
I can send money to a guy in a coffee shop in El Salvador. Ask if I can send it anywhere else.
Can you send it anywhere else, Chip?
Well, if I use Spend the Bits, I can't. So
there you go. See that?
Just saying. There we go.
See how that works. So check this out. A lot of good stuff, and we have that Tom Emmer video, and it's just percolating over here. There's so many great things to go over there, but there was. I'm trying to find it right here. This I find is interesting because this was. I want to just pull up this little bit of a clip. This was on finance feeds, Chip. Before we get into that, and the finance feed. Let me see if I can share my screen on this one. Let's see if it'll allow me to share my screen. There you go. Look at that. Check this out. Ripple's XRP stands to gain with crypto payments adoption at 45% by 2023. So, Chip, if you were wondering when it was going to happen, Financial Feeds has called it 2023 when there's about 45% adoption. But I thought it was interesting here. This Cap Gemini here found that increasing cross-border payment needs, higher transaction fees, and lack of standardization in global payments are prompting the move towards crypto. This was based on a World Payment Report in 21, the research study that finds a gap between consumer expectations and executive priorities in the space. But what I thought was interesting here is the report found that nearly 45% of consumers frequently use mobile wallets to make payments. And that's greater than 20 transactions a year, up from 23% just 1 year ago. So I guess as the brain starts percolating a little bit, they start thinking, what does that mean for Ripple XRP and blockchain in general? So
they're saying that. What do they say in 2023? To say exactly, just saying like when we hit 20, because that's like, I mean, basically we're talking about 14 months away. Are they talking about like fourth quarter of that period of time? That's what's weird. I mean, like, what are we talking about here?
I think they're looking just right. The article doesn't qualify it so well, but no, really, if we dug into this research study, and I clicked where it was published, but I like just using this article here. But I believe it just the trend of growth from 2020 to 2021 and that's where they're getting it. The percentage of consumers using buy now, pay later services is about 20%, but the figure is likely to rise to 60% in the next 1 to 2 years as they see it as a cheaper alternative to credit cards. Now, I'm trying to figure out buy now, pay later. How is that drastically different than a credit card unless you're getting extended terms to pay it back? Credit card, as long as you pay it off within that 30-day period, you get no cost of usage.
Right. Depends on what card you have. I mean, that's, of course, that's the sort of the way it works, Jeff, but
yeah. So here's the big one. I think people are just like waking up to this realization. We've been talking about this, at least I've been in the space since 2017, thinking about XRP and cross-border payments and all that stuff. Some people are just coming to this realization because this study here found that increasing cross-border payment needs, higher transaction fees, and lack of standardization are prompting the move towards crypto. That's what we read at the top. And then he singles out here, while many blockchain firms and foundations are competing in the cross-border territory, Ripple Labs has been able to stand out from the crowd early on by partnering with banking giants and making its XRP-powered solutions go live across the globe successfully.
This is interesting. So Jim D says, heads up, XRP family, banks started changing ACH terms to restrict transfers out to 1,000 USD. I ranted at a Bank of America today. Uh-oh.
Yeah, we've been having problems with Bank of America as well. And that's it's interesting. Some people have good luck with it. Some people don't. Right now, sending bank wires through Bank of America is a disaster.
It is. It absolutely is a disaster. And it has been for a long time, Jeff.
It has been. Unfortunately,
it has been for a long time. So what should we do? Should we start with that Emmer video?
Yeah, let's do that. That's going to be a lot of fun. So there's a
couple
of them. Let's see. Which one do we want to queue up? The short statement, or the other one that we started digging through, the longer one, because this the full video is pretty good. I just want to make sure
the full video is pretty good. I mean, what we could do.
I got time segments on it too, so.
Yeah. Yes.
So let's.
But there was another shorter piece of clip that let's just play that, just because we have.
Play that one first.
Play that one first. Let me go ahead and. You got that queued up or no?
I can queue it up here. I got it right here. Let's see. I've got okay. I'll pull this one over. I've got two time sequences on it. I got to get to the first one that I thought was interesting.
All right, well, I'll play the. How about if I just play the short bit first?
Oh, you want to play the short one?
Yeah, just a little short one, and then just kind of as a primer. Because I think it's
you got that one. Yeah, let's do that one first. All right, pull that one up.
Let's do this one.
I've got this one ready to go.
Or make someone like Ripple or XRP an example to try to essentially kind of secure the market through a little bit of fear.
Or worse yet, I mean, you've got a Fed Reserve chair who has suggested that if we create a central bank digital currency, there will be no need for cryptocurrencies.
For stables,
right?
Yeah.
It's interesting that you comment about the SEC and their, the bandwidth that they might have to do this. Let's keep in mind, though, that what Chair Gensler and the SEC are doing right now is they're literally creating regulation that doesn't exist, by the way, through enforcement or threatened enforcement.
Right.
So even though they may not have the resources, as you point out, to go after all these different things, how do you know if you're going to be the one, right? Yeah. If they're just suggesting and creating confusion in the marketplace, this was my whole point with the chair last week, that you can't do this with your conclusory statements out in the public. You literally could cause harm. And I use the example. You got somebody who offers a token. They agree with Chair Gensler that token is a security, right? That token offering. So they register with the SEC. And I asked the chair point blank, I said, under that scenario, once they've registered with the SEC, will they be able to trade on the New York Stock Exchange? Will they be able to trade on NASDAQ? And he started to answer, which was very frustrated, typical government speak. Well, it depends on, the New York Stock Exchange and what their rules are. Of course it does. But right now, under the rules that exist, no, they would not be able to trade on either of those exchanges.
Yeah, so I don't know what happened to Jeff. I think he bounced out. Maybe he forgot to plug his laptop in. But, I mean, this is typical stuff we see here because when you got somebody like Tom Emmer, he's not going to give Gary, Daddy G a pass. There's no way he's going to give him a pass. Hang on a second. I'm trying to move Jeff around here. We'll see if he's there. Yeah, there we go. So one of the things that I love what he says in there when I asked him about that, and it was like such a goofy statement to say, well, what if you go in and talk to him and they go like, yeah, we agree with you. We came in to talk with you like you always say. And now we're asking you, is this token, we believe it's a security, so let's regulate it as a security. And then he asked the most ridiculous question, Jeff. He asked the question of, well, can I trade it on the NASDAQ? Can I trade it on a stock exchange? He starts answering the question. And of course, it's the dumbest thing ever. No, last time I checked, there were no security tokens, that are traded on the stock exchange.
It's such a ridiculous, point. And, he's playing with fire. And as we go through other clips with Emmer, we're going to see these short clips and he's saying the exact same thing that we're referencing, that he's playing with fire. And, we can talk about this like almost, every night there's a little bit more to understand about it. And I think, as this message starts resonating and Emmer references it, and we're going to see that where he talks about 40,000 people calling a senator over the infrastructure bill, all from cryptocurrency people, and so it becomes very, very significant. And it's also very damaging, based on what the G-Man is doing. And that's, yeah. So Chip, let me put this one up. I want to get to, hang on, I got to get back to. I'll
throw this comment up. So Apex Crypto is saying, hey, by the way, I didn't get a notification tonight on YouTube for the stream. I couldn't even find it when you went to the channel. That's because it hadn't been posted. It was like posted like in split seconds right before we went live, because it's one of these sort of deals where it happens. It happens sometimes, but thanks to, Hans Loaded going like, where's the link? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm looking for it. And then Jeff got up in split second. He had it all ready to go. Just didn't post it. So
wasn't
that's
posted.
what ended up happening there. And that happens.
Check out the cool thumbnail. Very, very cool thumbnail.
As always, Jeff. As always.
So check this out. Here we go. So this one, this is
Emmer gained 40 pounds.
Yeah,
what happened?
He lost his tie. He gained a little bit of weight.
No, it's like when you do this.
Where I stopped it. Yeah.
Get that little.
So here we go.
Wobble, chin waddle.
This will bring in $28 billion. Whether you agree with finding new revenue sources or not, keep in mind, non-custodial crypto entities do not have customers. And Paul, if they don't have customers, they're not going to have information to supply the know your customer requirements of our government. Right. By the way, if you required them to go out and get it, because they're not in the business of safeguarding customer information, you can have some serious privacy implications. So,
all right. So that I actually queued up the wrong video, but let me go to 320. There was the other one I wanted to queue up, but I had that one up as well, but hang on.
Emmers, when you look at kind of where the market is right now, the U.S. obviously is in a very, I think, a great opportunistic time frame right now, especially around development, blockchain companies developing in all sorts of areas. This isn't just necessarily about a cryptocurrency. You've got China, who has basically stepped away from cryptocurrency into the digital yuan. This really kind of opens up an opportunity for the U.S. to become a global leader in blockchain technology as it really kind of reformats Web 3.0. Do you feel like today's leaders there and lawmakers really understand what's at stake?
Chip, I thought that was an amazing question.
That's a really good question. Do you think they know what's at stake? I mean, who's ever asked that? I mean, because there's a lot at stake, right?
It's amazing, and I haven't heard anybody ask a question like that yet. You might point to it, but I like this guy. I like how he came out and asked that, but listen to this, and then I'm going to fast forward it beyond this. Hang on.
No, I don't. Do I think some of them do? Yeah, I do. But I think you got to look, Paul, to the House with the blockchain caucus, which is really the go-to bipartisan vehicle to tackle this problem. Because, whether it's myself, Warren Davidson, Patrick McHenry on the Republican side, or it's Darren Soto, Bill Foster, Ro Khanna on the Dem side, you have a consensus that that's exactly what we risk here.
3 people are on each side. Maybe a total of 5 or 6 guys in the House.
But hang on a second, though. Here's what I don't hear. Here, who are we hearing a lot from? McHenry, Emmer, Warren Davidson, right? Well, who we're not hearing from are really the Dems. And the Dems are the only ones that can make a difference in the House. The Dems are the only one that can go and sit with the chair, Maxine Waters, and say, hey, let's at least put this to a vote. Let's at least, get it out of committee. Let's put it on the floor for a vote. And let's see where we stand in this whole thing. But I almost think with their tax frenzy that they're going on right now and trying to tax everything, I mean, everything they're trying to do is just doom and gloom and destruction. So to get this out, it would be rewritten in such a way that we wouldn't recognize it anymore. But they're laying low right now. Ro Khanna is laying low, and you got, Soto's from Florida, and they're just kind of laying low. And who's the other one? Bill. I don't remember the other one, but the other Dem. But
Foster.
Foster. And they're just, but they're not being outspoken, Jeff. I mean, you don't see them going like, we got to get this passed. No, because they have more stuff on their agenda that looks like higher taxes, more pain, more grief, more of the same, actually. So it's the tax and spend. We will tax and you'll pay for it, little people.
Yeah. Now check this out. There's a couple more. These are really short, but to get your feedback on this. So this one is really focused on regulatory ignorance, and I like where he goes with this one.
Significant, Paul. And if you think someone else is going to do this for you, think again. You really need to lean in, find the number. If you need help, contact my office. We'll put you in touch. But think about this for a second. Regulatory ignorance is already driving crypto opportunities overseas.
Yeah.
They like to say that crypto is an emerging technology. Paul,
check this out.
Crypto has already emerged. You got 50 million Americans who already are invested in cryptocurrencies.
How do you like that? An emerging, they refer to it as an emerging technology. I like he said it's already emerged.
Emerged. No, he's absolutely right.
Million people.
It's like we're not waiting for it. I mean, it's been around 11, 12 years now. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And then it's always emerging technology used for what, Jeff? Nefarious purposes. Look at this.
Exactly.
Apex Crypto says, when Emmer first got elected, I didn't care for him, but he's won me over as a constituent, one of the few reasonable congressmen, regardless of party. Yeah, I agree with that statement wholeheartedly.
Yeah, welcome on board. All right. So here, let me
welcome to the Apex.
Follow this up.
Regulators are like fighting with each other. They all seem to want jurisdiction over the industry, but they haven't educated themselves enough to understand crypto, blockchain, and the idea of decentralization. I mean, you look at Janet Yellen, for instance. She lobbied, or her office, the Treasury lobbied Portman's office for the provision that would put reporting requirements on crypto entities that simply could not comply, like miners, which we talked about earlier. That just shows a complete ignorance of what they're doing with. Gary Gensler at the SEC, he wants to regulate crypto to the full extent of his authority, and then he wants Congress to grant him even more authority. That doesn't bode well for innovation in the future. And Michael Hsu at the OCC, he wants to reevaluate the fintech charters on a case-by-case basis. Remember the great work that Brian Brooks was doing in this space just a few months ago. I got to tell you, the OCC should never pick winners and losers. And, if you look at what Hsu's already done, they rolled back the true lender rule. So,
man, he's just hitting that out of the park, going after each one of them, Chip. I mean, it's amazing. It really is, spot on, what he's talking about. And let me just let me fast forward here. This one, these are the stuff that he has in here is just outstanding. Hang on a second. Here.
They're in a bit of a fight with a known crypto entity out there, XRP. they've been in this battle for quite some time, and we are seeing some issues in terms of trying to legislate this from a standpoint of really whether or not cryptocurrencies, are securities, still yet to be determined. Understand that we do need regulation. I think a lot of the industry would totally agree with that, but obviously they're looking for the right regulation. Do you think the SEC is the entity to be in charge of how to govern and kind of secure how crypto and blockchain is going to move forward?
Well, look, we've got to give them direction. So first off, I'm going to just show you, Paul, I have a bias when it comes to our regulators. They're not elected. Granted, I'm not trying to denigrate them because these are smart people. They've got careers. But I'm the guy who has an election certificate, not them. And the idea that they jump into an area that they're not very familiar with, again, their ignorance is pushing innovation overseas. Right. I've offered a bill, which maybe what you're referring to.
And he gets into the bill that he had put on the table with Darren Soto not that long ago. Well, look how he just hits it out of the park, in reference to to the lack of ignorance, the lack of knowledge, from these guys.
Well, Paul is absolutely wrong. He's like, we're still waiting to see if it's going to be a security, right? I'm like, well, no, we're not really waiting. And there is no, you can't regulate something that you don't have guidelines for. And if you go back to the Howey test, well, good luck. Prove all four of them. Go ahead, go to trial, prove them all, because I got news for you. When Ripple brings in the big guns, they're going to destroy you. They are going to eviscerate you. And you'll be like, but there was an orange grove and it's profiting off the back of others. And because of the, and that's not going to be a really strong argument, Jeff. And you picked out some really great clips there to look at. And the whole interview is great. We can't play the entire interview, but it's fantastic. That was awesome.
We could try. All right, one more last one. And this is something, Chip, and this is short, but this is something we've referenced all the time, that the SEC and Congress and the Senate they just didn't see it coming. They didn't see the mass volume, the sheer number of people that are in support of crypto, and the SEC, haven't really seen ever, because it's unprecedented, the number of Ripple and XRP supporters that are out there that came out. But check this out.
Think what they think it's going to generate, the 27 billion. Guess what? A lot of people in Washington, D.C. learned a lot in a very short period of time about blockchain technology and about crypto that uses it and other promising opportunities. I'll put it this way, Paul. When a U.S. senator gets 40,000 calls in one day from the community, the industry, people that are investors and others, they take notice. So again, the blockchain caucus is great.
Chip, that just, hits it out of the park again. And that's something that we've referenced, over and over again, how significant it is that people are outspoken.
Well, Jeff, one thing that I want to say,
outspoken.
There used to be when we were younger, they used to say, well, one letter to your census, your local Congress representative is like the voice of 5,000 people. Yeah, one person decided to write it. Well, what do you think 40,000 calls represents? Millions and millions of people, the voices.
That's right.
Those people, and that's why they started taking notice, because we don't care if you are yes on this, yes on this, yes on this. You're no on crypto. You're out. You're out. We'll get you out. We have the ability to get you out. And that's when they started saying like, let's think about this a little bit. And that's the kind of power. I keep telling this. We have the power. We all do. We the people, I don't care what city you live in. I don't care what country you live in. One thing we have in common is cryptocurrency, and we all live on the third stone from the sun. It's called planet Earth. We are united in crypto and in freedom and decentralization.
Tom Emmer is the crypto daddy.
Yeah, he's the real deal, man. And then I want to throw this up from XRP Speedboat. Thank you for that. He says, I'm replacing the old saying of don't be a Barney Rubble to don't pull a Gensler. That's a good one. Don't be a Gensler. Don't Gensler.
Don't pull a Gensler, and make sure you don't get Genslered.
Yeah, here, how about this? Pull my Gensler. It's just getting out of hand, man. The whole thing is getting out of hand, but in a good way. But that name is soiled forever. It's like you won't be able to show up anywhere. It's like suppose he's not even related to you and your last name's Gensler. You're like, oh, are you related to that blah, 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 expletive, beep, beep, beep? No, just happen to have the same name. Oh, well, he's soiled that name, so.
Here's Mole Funkin, Paul Barron, and On the Chain, two of the most underrated YouTube channels.
Yeah. Yeah, Paul Barron is good. And, you know, if you guys don't follow him, he's a good follow, but his name's, I think he goes by Paul Barron, right? Paul Barron something. There's a third word after that, but he has a lot of really good guests.
Paul Barron Network.
The network, that is a Paul Barron Network, and he covers a good gamut of crypto, you know, Solana, a lot of cool stuff, hits XRP, not a maxi at all, really good reporting, solid reporting, and, you know, he asks really poignant questions. I think his interviews are really strong. I mean, he's really good with that. He's really good at.
He's got 117,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
This last video got 3,000 views.
He's not that underrated, as it turns out. So I wanted to play this
stuff.
I want to play this. Oh, is this it? No, where did it go? Here it is, right here. I got it. Sometimes I have to like reference. I have to sort of like play these first because I always forget what I name them.
Yeah, before you put that, Sir John's asking if Let's Go Brandon knows there's a thing called crypto. Maybe Emmer should advise him.
I don't think Let's Go Brandon knows what room he's in, what world he's in. I don't think there's a lot going on there. So yeah, there's a potentially, who knows? But right, hey, listen, everything's short term. Let's do this.
506B is the most common exemption relied upon by issuers. Some things to note about Rule 506B offerings is that the issuer can't generally solicit or advertise the offering. So you can't be out there, telling people willy-nilly about you trying to raise money and sell securities.
So I'll talk a bit about the funding model. So we will have a fundraiser for 2 months starting February 1st. It will be available at funds.ethereum.org. So the idea is that part of the initial issuance will be 1,000 Ether for 1 Bitcoin, or up to 2,000 Ether for 1 Bitcoin if you get in early to compensate for the increased risk. So the issuance model is that we will fundraise, suppose that we hand out X Ether through the fundraiser, then there will be about 0.5x will be pre-mined, and then 0.4x after that will be mined per year.
Moreover, putting aside the fundraising that accompanied the creation of Ether, based on my understanding of the present state of Ether, the Ethereum network, its decentralized structure, we believe current offers and sales of Ether are not securities transactions.
Priest,
Jeff, I don't want to stop it there, but he did say the word we. Wasn't say my personal opinion. We believe.
Yeah, you might have to roll that back.
Well, he's been trying for the last 3 years. I don't think it's working so well, but it was a personal opinion. He had the disclaimer up front for that speech. Remember, it's my personal, but then there's we and the SEC and the we. So let's.
XRP panics, wondering if anyone else is distracted by his hand movements.
When he knocked over the glass or whatever that was that fell on the thing, it's like, you got to imagine that, I got to give this guy a lot of credit. I think he's still in his early 20s, right? So you're talking about somebody who was very young at the time when he stood up at that podium, probably nervous as hell. And he got up there and delivered the message, about their token. And if you got in early because there's more risk, then you could potentially get more, right? But let's listen to the rest of it. This next clip is from April 19th, 2019. This is Vitalik Buterin here again. Hang on a second.
5 years ago, it was basically myself and a couple of other people that were just figuring out everything and figuring out the protocol, implementing the protocol, kind of bootstrapping the community, setting up the Ether sale back in 2014, talking to security auditors.
Dude, he needs some sun.
He could use a little bit of sun, yeah. He could use a little bit of sun, but it's interesting that whole thing, you put it all and piece it all together, and it's amazing that the conversations even happening now. The way we understand it is Bill Hinman is the initial, the offering they had. Today is not. Well, by the same sort of rules that you just made up in your head when you said we. Wouldn't that be true for XRP? Especially since XRP never even got close to having an initial coin offering. It was gifted to them. It was called Open Coin. I mean, this is the part that gets me, Jeff. It's so far off, and That's where I think the big guns are going to move in, and they're just going to go.
Yeah, Robert is saying, yeah, he was nervous. He was selling securities.
Everyone's a little bit nervous when they're selling securities.
That's right. Channing is saying Ripple files a patent to settle derivatives, and it just passed. Bullish.
Nice. Well, drop it in, man. Drop it in the chat.
Drop it in the chat.
Drop it in the chat, or hit us up on the DM. We'll throw it up there, Channing.
Ripple patent derivatives.
Yeah, you could always. There's always Google too. Should maybe find the 15 versions of the article, and maybe only one of them. So Jeff, you know, there's been a lot of hoopla about Hester Peirce, and a lot of it's coming to pass on some of the videos we've been showing over the past couple of videos. One of the things kind of reared its ugly head was this whole idea of this bunch of different groups, Andreessen Horowitz and Nancy Wolters, a whole bunch of them got together. They kind of crafted this safe harbor proposal, right? And of course, Hester Peirce rolls it out not too soon thereafter. She rolls out version 1 in 2020. In February, I believe. And then in April of earlier this year, she rolls out 2.0. A couple of tweaks in there, a couple of sort of checks and balances, 3 years, but there's a check at the first year, check is more or less at the second year. So this is kind of fresh in everybody's mind right here. So what happened today? Well, you're asking yourself, well, what happened? Well, something that you would be totally shocked to learn, but one of the other commissioners came out against colleague Peirce's safe harbor and ICOs in general. So the safe harbor for token offerings doesn't seem to be on the horizon for most of the current U.S. administration. But at the SEC event in October, Commissioner Caroline Crenshaw pushed back against calls for a safe harbor that would protect initial coin offerings, better known as ICOs, from the SEC's full reporting regime. Instead of a harbor, my hope is that we can build a bridge, Crenshaw ultimately said, finding a bridge to mean any more crypto industry players coming to the SEC door. Jeff, what does that sound like to you, this statement right here? Instead of a safe harbor or a harbor, my hope is we can build a bridge. And she defines the bridge to mean more crypto industry players coming to the SEC. Does that sound like somebody we know?
Well, it sounds like she's getting her marching orders directly from Daddy G.
That's exactly what it sounds like.
It's problematic on many different levels. Number one is the whole idea of the safe harbor is to help build inclusion and help foster a regime of innovation, right? We want people to be happy to innovate. We don't want people to flee the country and take their innovation elsewhere. Building a bridge, I was like, hey, this is starting out well. They forget the safe harbor. We want to build a bridge to innovation. But no, she didn't say that, right? She said
no,
to bring them to the door of the SEC for more punishment. I mean, these people are you know, I feel, Chip, sometimes like we're watching a movie, and in this movie we're watching the Soviet Union, right? And we're seeing what's happening within the operation of the Soviet Union and how the government officials react and treat the populace and the companies within. And then you have the other side that's trying to fight back and free those people in the Soviet Union. And then you've got Reagan out there that says, Gorbachev, bring down this wall, or whatever he said, tear down the wall.
Tear down this wall, yeah.
Tear down this wall, you know. And so I feel like we're like reliving this period of time, and it's just bizarre. It's like bizarre world. And for those that don't know what the Soviet Union is, or what the wall reference is, or who Reagan or Gorbachev was, you can look it up. But you know, all these things are just too much, Chip. I don't even know what to make of it anymore. Every word that comes out of their mouth is just, man, you just kind of get the awkward feeling to it.
Oscar says Caroline is Gary's puppet, you know, and then we got this one from Apex. Government officials will never understand that they don't have to protect people from every investment risk. But that's exactly what Gare Bear is trying to do. Yeah. That Gare Bear, Daddy G, whatever. It's all that, you know, the Gare Bear is trying to do it. And she goes on to say that had a safe harbor been in place during the initial coin offering or ICO boom of the 2017 and 2018, I think the results would have been even worse for investors and the markets. But then right here, this is exactly what Apex is referencing. Why is it your business what happens? What's that? What was that?
Boss Bay, Jeff, we ain't 22.
Right. That's right. So he goes,
that was made for the younger group that might be here.
Yeah, I think the results would have been even worse for investors in the markets. Again, why is it your place to wonder it? They're not sitting around Vegas casinos going, man, that poor chump just lost the house. Like literally his house is done. There's no worry about that. They're not going to worry about those investment decisions. But you know what? Anytime there's some way to get profit, or the little guy has a chance to no longer be the little guy and be a player who can then influence others. And if all of a sudden you had, thousands upon thousands of crypto millionaires, gosh, what kind of lobbying group could you set up, Jeff? And what kind of results could you get? And what kind of, so this is what they're really worried about, that and the decentralization. She goes on to say that ICOs and other digital asset offerings raised billions from investors, but most never delivered on their promises. Yeah, and guess what happened? They went away. You think it's because they didn't release ICOs in the States? No, they took themselves off. It got so scammy that you couldn't do an ICO anywhere pretty much. How many times do you hear about ICOs these days? They're still there. They're still, they're not calling them ICOs, but they have coin offerings and they got exclusives, and you only have this much time to get in at this point. But people kind of learn, this is what happens. The people sort of regulate the industry. So she joined the commission in 2020, making her newest addition to leadership. Other than Gary Gensler, has notably pushed more of the crypto industry to register with the SEC. And then what happens? You come in and register with them, and here's a Wells notice, which means it's a piece of paper that says it could be a future enforcement. So what I want to do next, Jeff, is first of all, let me get your thoughts on where is she going with this when she starts talking about this, because she talks about McHenry in this paragraph as well.
It's problematic. If you go back and you read, her bio, it's interesting. She's really got a, pretty impressive, career path, including, working at JAG, as an attorney, in the military. So, shows she has this great career. There was a vacancy back in, what was it? She was appointed in August of 2020, I believe, right?
Yep.
Trump appointed her to fill a free Democrat spot, in the on the SEC commission as a commissioner. And so, would you see something like this coming based on what she's done? I don't know. I look at, sometimes I just don't understand how people get through life, and you look at where they've come from, and then you see their opinions that come out on economics, and it's just mystifying to me. It's like, after everything you've done, truthfully, I don't want to hear anything economic related for the most part from an attorney. Hey, it's great. You're a great attorney. You've done great things in the attorney space, but I'm not really impressed by their ideas, economically speaking, and it stops making sense to me. But I want to give a quick shout out to Wilfie John, just tuned in from Yorkshire, UK.
Hey man, good to have you in here. I was talking to my buddy today over, I can't say where he's from, but he's over there in the UK.
Nice.
I would pronounce it as Derby. He would say Derbyshire. So I want to go into this. So Hester Peirce weighed in on that whole thing today. She's like, okay, so what did Hester Peirce have to say about her fellow commissioner weighing in and being against the whole, the fair safe harbor? She says, I'm happy my colleague Commissioner Crenshaw thought about the safe harbor, but I'd be happier if she thought about it differently, as a way to achieve valid investor protection goals without inhibiting the development of user-controlled networks. And I think that's a really interesting way to look at it. Thoughts, Jeff?
Yeah, no, I mean, she should put another statement in there that says, I really wish Gensler would actually read the safe harbor, because we know that he hasn't, so, hey, at least she read it. At least Commissioner Crenshaw had the decency and the
Jeff, that's a good point,
to actually read it. So you know what? She's gonna have a different opinion. That's fine. That's why you have different people on the commission. So outstanding. She read it. She voiced her opinion. doesn't mesh with most of the opinions in the crypto space. Doesn't really mesh with well.
So I'll go right here. Like so Wilbur 54 says, having read the speech, am I right in reading that she's admitted and acknowledging that the DAO, or decentralized autonomous organization, has said the offer of ETH for $150 million was a securities offering? And so if we look right here, this is part of the remarks that come out of this speech right here. This is the whole entire speech. But Wilbur picked up this one point where the highlighted section, through general solicitations to retail investors, a venture raised $150 million worth of the native digital asset on the Ethereum blockchain known as ETH. That analysis focused not on technology, but the economic realities of the transactions, including the expectation of profits and the efforts of the promoters. We've heard that before, Jeff. The DAO, the agency made clear, was a securities offering. So that's interesting.
There's trouble.
There's our very own JB who says, that's good to know, but where's the action? Yet we have Ripple are the ones being sued. Where's Ripple's DAO report? Right?
What did Robert Morris say?
Robert Morris chimed in and said, our very own Robert Morris. These, by the way, right here, this is what makes us proud. These are OTC family members right here. So he says, the big banks don't want to lose business over crypto, and they've set in place hurdles to slow down crypto, just as well as we do. So thank you for fighting for us, which is great. And I think that might be it for let's see what else we got here. Okay, we'll pass on that one there. Really on the side of truth and truthful and transparent. I personally could not work as a team when they're constantly blindsiding innovation. I understand you need a majority to sign off on policies. Leave and just blow them whistles really loud. You are a legend. And that's from Daz. What else? Yeah, I always hate when they make you keep clicking that. And then we have Clemenza here, which says, thanks for all you do for us investors. And we have, of course, not a single word about ETH and Hinman / Clayton collusion, corruption, and the lack of enforcement action here. Even though the so-called ICO craze actually was started and fueled by nothing other than ETH. That's a good point, Jeff, that they're raising there.
Very good point, because you had all sorts of new ERC20 tokens dropping all over the place.
They were dropping like flies, man.
Hey, big shout out to our buddy David over in Kenya. He says that was awesome, putting Kenya on the spot at the end of the stream yesterday. Always appreciate what you do, and Kenya is tourist friendly and welcoming.
I'll tell you, when we get over there, David, you're going to welcome us, and we're gonna have a little bit of fun when we get there. That's for sure.
Big support from David.
Yeah, I appreciate that, David. Well, I like the fact that these African nations are standing up, because some of them have been under brutal dictatorships for a long time, and sometimes they flip around for a little bit. And what is evident in Africa is evident on every single continent, and that is simple. Decentralization equals freedom. And what the big banks and what the big governments any government's going to fight is that whole concept, because they know they will lose the battle at that point. And they're already losing the narrative, and they're slowly losing the battle. Now it's like, that's one of the reasons that Tom Emmer brought up the whole conversation about ICOs, right? Hey, we have an ICO. Forget the fact that it's not blockchain. Forget about the fact that it has nothing to do with with a cryptocurrency, but you won't need them anymore. Why? Because they'll know if they can go into your bank account in the States, what's being proposed for $600. They want to know, what you purchased. We have a great sound bit from Senator Cynthia Lummis. They want to know everything about you for $600. It used to be $10,000. If you'd made a deposit in a U.S. bank, you would be you'd be tracked, right? To say, okay, well, that's a pretty sizable. Now it's $600. So then we make that next jump, and everyone's like, well, that's not so bad. I guess it's okay. My government wants to take a peek and look. This is how it happens. You're slowly stirring it. This is the frog in the blender where it's getting hotter and hotter. He's like, yeah, it's not that comfortable, but don't worry about it. And then what happens? Then they go to the CBDC. What does happen to the CBDC? Simple. Now they track everything you do. You're a bad actor. We don't like that. You've broken our policy. You've gone against their policy that you signed off on when you read those 17,000 pages and you put your mark on there. Now you're banned. So now you got to survive. There's no more fiat currency. and now you're living on the black market. That's what we're all facing right now. So
exactly. I want to put this up. So David is cutting edge. Now you brought up Africa. There's a lot going on in Africa in relation to the digital asset space and the growth, especially in payments, because of some of the things you brought up with the issue politically with the African nations. A big part of the problem is economically, monetarily, we should say. But check this out, right? So this is key. Kenyans lead the world in peer-to-peer crypto trade. Number ones in the world, right? Then you've got, hang on, here we go. Report, Kenya has 4th highest interest in cryptocurrency globally, right? And then you come over here and cryptocurrency is booming among the Kenyan farmers. I mean, it's amazing. Let me just the beginning intro to this. That's all we have to play, but it highlights and underscores everything that we reference in relation to how cryptocurrency is helping people on a global scale. And then you get naysayers like Janet Yellen. Some of the others say it's never been used and it has no impact on people's lives. Well, you know what?
26-year-old farmer Emmanuel Kahindi in Kilifi is using Kenya's cryptocurrency Sarafu to sell his vegetables and to buy supplies without having to use any cash.
How amazing is that, right? So he's using cryptocurrency to buy supplies and sell his produce, right? I mean, that's what it's all about. And that is everyday utility right there.
Right. And he's doing it directly. He doesn't have to deal with all of the potential issues you have with, with fees or moving money or any of that kind of stuff. Because, he could be selling domestically, he could be selling, to another, within Africa, he could be selling overseas. We don't know, but we do know that there's probably going to be some fees he's not going to be paying. And also, too, if he's receiving crypto, this is where I think some of the other countries are figuring this out way ahead of the U.S. Meanwhile, thanks for the reminder, Ani. I mean, my God,
back in the U.S. Remember the cartoons?
Way to bring it back home. I wanted to play on that same sort of. So I saw something today, a pretty cool Twitter thread, kind of along the same lines of that. I wanted to throw this up there because I find this absolutely fascinating. Here's a woman who is so far ahead of her time and what she's done and created. This is an Afghan entrepreneur. And this, again, this plays to the heart. We just saw that clip right there. We have the farmer who's, he's ahead of the time. There's probably not farmers in the US that are using crypto, right? So again, years ahead of what people are doing, and who knows how long we've been doing it for. But I want to put this up here because I find the bravery of this woman right here incredible. 10 years ago, Afghan entrepreneur Roya Mabush, he started paying all of her female staff in Bitcoin. Jeff, 10 years ago. Think about that. Huh. I mean, it's 2011, she started paying them in Bitcoin. It helped some of them to leave the country when the Taliban took power, but she isn't alone. Here's why Afghans are embracing crypto.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story.
Right. So there you go. You got the fiat listed up there or whatever, right? So all you really need is a mobile phone. Here we go. So another one. So failing banking system is number one. In a country where most people don't have bank accounts, many turn to crypto to send and receive cash safely. It was also a way for women to gain financial independence. We don't think we have to go and launch into that. If you look at this right here, Roya said, especially for women and those who don't have bank accounts, it's very beneficial and empowering.
Because think about it from that perspective. Continue your thought.
No, I was just saying, the women there don't have a lot of the same rights as they do in other countries. So to have this ability is absolutely outstanding, right? And it's like, especially, I still can't believe since 2011 she's been doing this.
It's so big though. To that point, women can't leave their home. Women can no longer. Ever since August, women, aren't allowed to get educated. They've changed everything. So imagine, when women can't leave the home by themselves, they probably can't work. But if they're going to transact in anything, a cryptocurrency is really the only way for them to do it at this point. and the fact that they've been paid in Bitcoin is outstanding.
It's almost unbelievable. I could say 2 years ago, but you look back 11 years ago and where this country was. This is some really forward thinking. So number two was the currency dive. Crypto is becoming increasingly popular for those in conflict zones or nations with the weak governance, according to tech experts. In Venezuela, for example, people have bought essentials with Dogecoin after the nation's currency went into a free fall.
That was
I don't
big.
know if did they mean Dogecoin? Because that's been in free fall for ages. Maybe they meant. And again, here's somebody named Keith Carter. He's the associate professor on the National University of Singapore. He says in failed or challenged states, it provides a way for people to support family members. Yeah, to basically do the basics of putting food on the table for your family, right? Number three, Lifeline. Many use crypto to send remittances, support their families from abroad. Afghans with crypto wallets used them to leave the country when the Taliban took over. And then people like Farhan Hotak, number 22 years old, saw it as an opportunity to make a huge profit during the lockdown. So again, there you go. And adoption of crypto is growing quickly across the world. Last month, El Salvador became the first country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender, but it's not the only place in the world to adopt digital cash. And then there was a poll here. Obviously, I voted yes, but do you believe that cryptocurrency is becoming more accepted as part of daily life? The choices were yes or no. And yes is still leading by 81, almost 82%.
Gensler's in that
note. I think Gensler had no. And then reading more about how cryptocurrency like Bitcoin gained popularity. So it's a really good article, but I like that they broke out some of the finer points in that tweet thread there. Really well done. But again, the courage of this woman, incredible. Incredible. I would be impressed if it was 3 years ago. 10 years ago, Jeff? Nobody was in crypto 10 years ago.
Oh, it's amazing. It's unreal, So, and it's funny too, because when I first ran into Bitcoin back in 2014, it was for that same purpose, dealing with people down in Venezuela, even back then, mainly because it was so difficult to get US currency down in Venezuela and the things they had to go through. And then also in India, because of the currency rate fluctuations, it was just way too fast. And so I was looking at Bitcoin, then I realized it would be super difficult to get them to try to adopt it. But look, she's years before that figured it out. It's amazing. But check this out. This is from Mole Funkin. Again, he said, if you look at the interviews of Hester, there seems to be an undertone of her really disliking the litigation against Ripple. In Tony's interview, she says she can't comment, but her face says it. Said, she's really upset. And then I like this one from Jamie. Said, hi, guys. Jamie from San Carlos, California. It's over near San Fran. Feel bad for you. He said, a new name for the SEC chair. It really should be Kim Jong-un Gary, or Gary Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, I know where you're going with that. I have to agree with it. But you want to see a clip of Senator Cynthia Lummis going scorched earth about this whole. Let's just throw. It's a very short clip here, but let's throw this up. And then I want to share another clip about. Here we go. Right here. Here it is. Another clip about Hester Peirce. But here we go.
Do you distrust the American people so much that you need to know when they bought a couch or a cow?
It's exactly right. She's talking about the $600. Like, do you really distrust people that much that you got to track it down to the level of where they bought a couch or a cow? And she's scorched earth. Like, you pull the rest of it, man, and the fire's coming out of her eyes, and she's burning down the house right there, man. There's no doubt. Or the Senate, I should say. But look, Jeff, I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, is this level of intrusion in privacy is crazy, right?
Oh, it's insane. And this is, they're trying to push and leverage the digital dollar. And, they keep saying, no, and they see what's going on in China with the digital yuan, and they're going to push for the digital dollar because of the ramification. Now you don't even have to report it. They can just see it. Oh, look, every dollar you spend. But that $600 is such an intrusion in everyday privacy. It goes above and beyond. Janet Yellen tried to explain it away. saying that people are reported, banks are reporting on a regular, it's nonsense. This is an overreach and a violation, and it's going to be shut down. There's no way it's going to be shut down. Forget that.
Yeah, I can't see it going there. But again, the fact that we're even having a discussion about it. And then this was Hester Peirce on yesterday with Tony from Thinking Crypto. And I want to play this little small bit here.
Question, and it might be a bit awkward because Chairman Gensler is your boss.
He's not my boss.
Oh, well, I apologize. How does that dynamic work? And I think maybe a lot of us people listening will probably need to be educated on that.
Yeah.
I love that. Your boss, Gary Gensler? No, he's not my boss. This was awesome. This was great. I mean, it's a nice exchange, right? So here, let's look.
The sign above her head in the office that she's sitting in.
It's the SEC sign again, Jeff.
Yep.
There we go.
Is she there and on her personal business, or is this official?
Well, I think she's there in both capacities because her personal matches up with her official. Unfortunately, the chair. So let's listen to how she breaks this down. I love the big smile on her face because she's like, I cannot. And again, what I posted earlier comment was spot on about, her face said a lot during this interview. Yeah, she was saying, I respect and everything else, but she didn't have that smile on her face. So here we go.
Yeah, no, it can be very complicated from the outside because our agency is set up a little bit differently than some of the other agencies in government. So it is true that Gary Gensler is the chair of the SEC, which means that he sets the agenda, the staff reports to him. He does a lot of the operational work at the SEC. And
look at the face, Jeff. You see the change?
Oh yeah.
Started talking about Gary Gensler. Went to he sets the agenda. He does this stuff. I don't want to read into it too much, but let's just if we have a little fun here, okay?
And certainly, he has more power over what the agency does than the rest of us. But there are 5 commissioners, and so the 5 of us are the ones who make every decision. That means that when it comes to a rule that we're proposing or adopting, we all vote on that rulemaking. And when it comes to an enforcement action, we all vote on that enforcement action. It doesn't mean that, again, as with a rule, you can have a situation where it's a 3-2 vote or a 4-1 vote. Same on the enforcement side. It's a majority rules kind of arrangement. So that's why I say he's not my boss.
Yeah, and I think I had that misconception. A lot of people, just because we don't really know the layers.
Yeah, he's not the boss, and it's like funny. It's like when you have the 5 commissioners, they all kind of get along. They all go in there, they talk to each other. But what would be interesting, Jeff, should it be public knowledge or is it public knowledge what her vote was with regard to the enforcement action regarding the SEC taking action against Ripple? Shouldn't that be something public where you get to see that?
I believe it's public.
We should look at that because we basically know how she is. Probably her and Reisman, so it's probably like a 3-2, even if Reisman was there at the time.
Hey, Joe, I was looking at the charts today, and there was some lag after the 6-hour golden cross. Same thing when the 4-hour golden crosses. Kidding. Chincy 13 don't know what he's referencing, but it's interesting.
I like the golden cross.
Golden
far
cross,
superior.
6-hour and then the 4-hour.
I like it better than the silver cross. The bronze cross, just not so good. This stuff loses me when I get into the crosses and the
We've heard from Reutersman. So John Doe's saying, where's the other commissioner that's on Hester's side? We should contact that person for an interview too. Good point. But
not a bad idea.
I don't know. Definitely wouldn't. I don't know if he's as outspoken though as Hester is, but very solid idea, especially if her interview card is packed up, so that would be good.
And then there was another little bit that I wouldn't mind playing here, that another great nugget from the Tony Edwards interview here. Just queuing it up because this is one of the very long videos. Let's see, I think it's right about there.
Too fast for you. He said he's late. I was at MIT.
MIT. So here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and share this
over there. I can too.
Yeah, this is a good one too. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to make sure I have that tab selected. Here we go. And make it full screen. And let's listen in. And Tony basically asked a question. It's about Hinman and Clayton. And then this is Hester Peirce's response.
What are your thoughts on this? And do you have, I don't know how much you can share, but I just want to give you the floor to address this if you can.
Sure. No, I appreciate that. And I worked with both of them. Bill Hinman was the director of corporation finance, and Jay Clayton obviously was chairman. And I know both of them, and they're both men of integrity. Conflicts are extremely important to manage, and anyone in one of our positions needs to manage those conflicts. But what I will say is that I didn't always agree with Bill Hinman and Jay Clayton on policy, and there were sometimes very strong disagreements, and some of those disagreements were around crypto. And so we, I think, as a society, tend to try to make everything about people's integrity. If we disagree on a policy point, that's definitely a problem in Washington. And I think it's a problem through our broader society. But it's also important to remember that you can have deep disagreements with someone on policy, and you can still respect the person.
Yeah, and it's well said. She's very diplomatic, and you gotta appreciate her for that. Look, you might disagree. At the end of the day, you work together. You're trying to move things forward, and I can kind of see that, Jeff. I mean, it's she's very diplomatic, and she plays it straight, and that's how she should play it. She's not going to go scorched earth. She just has her opinions, and she said right there she didn't always agree with Hinman or Clayton when it came to cryptocurrency. So it's pretty much an extension from the previous chair and, corporate director of corporate finance to now Gensler and company. So there we have it. And who knew that it was an hour and a minute into it, Jeff? Did you know that?
No.
Well, I'm here to tell you the bad news, Jeff. That means we got to wrap it. That means we got to go outro. So really? When do we stream here, Jeff? You want to do that shout out?
We do stream 6 days a week, Sunday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm trying to find the whole thing with Ripple, the SEC.
Subscribe, click that notification bell when you're going to do it. And please remember, click that up thumbs. If you haven't clicked that thumbs up, did I say up thumbs? Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. The up thumbs.
And as a parting thought, Chip, as a parting thought, December 29th, 2020, Hester Peirce posted on Twitter, "It takes a majority vote of the SEC's commissioners to authorize enforcement actions and new rules. Votes that precede the final resolution of a matter generally will be made public only after the matter is final."
Where is it?
So based on the Freedom of Information Act 2020, and I don't know when they voted on it.
Well, it would have been prior to that. I mean, the action came in December. So was it 18th?
And the chair gets to vote as well. So so that's interesting. So if they're all five are voting, then that kind of gives you an idea. But here, I don't know when they would have voted on it.
Well, we'll have to look it up. We'll have to figure it out. But if you guys find it too, hit us up, man. We'd love to see if we can get that. But again, want to thank everybody for joining on the chain again tonight. Tomorrow night, we've got an amazing guest coming in here, and you know him as a YouTuber, goes by the name of Bearable Bull, who provides aggressively average content. But tomorrow night, he's going to be providing above average aggressive content on the chain. He will be here with us for the full hour. Really looking forward to it. Been trying to set this up for some time. Really thrilled that the Bull's coming in here tomorrow night and going to share drop some knowledge. And he's doing a lot of great things. He's got some. If you look at his Udemy course, man, it's blown up. It's doing very well. So and of course his videos are legend. So he'll be here tomorrow. Guys, come on back here. with your questions so you can drop it for the ball. But we're psyched to
It'll be outstanding. We're excited. It'll be great. So it's going to be a great wrap of the week. And as always, we have by far the smartest people in the crypto space right here, gathering right there in the chat, and subscribers to the channel. And like you said before, and as a parting note to everybody out there, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. And Chip, tomorrow night's another night.
It is. And you know what?
What's that?
The usual, sir. Please.
I just felt it was time, Jeff. It was a long time coming. And on that note, Chip, Jeff, we are both out of here. Guys, we on the next one. We'll see you on the next one. Go, Gary, go. Okay, we'll see you guys on the next one. We're out of here.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.